Hi, it's Christian. I'm here in one of the Sunday school rooms just to give you a look through my new loop and rig setup. The first change is we've moved everything away from a pedal board and put it into a rack mounted case just to make everything at my feet much neater and tidier. So let me talk you through what's in the rack mount first. It starts off with a power converter at the top, which is powering everything in the rack but also keeping everything nice and protected and the power source nice and clean. Then there's the Focusrite Pro 40, which is handling all of my outputs and inputs for my monitoring, for my vocal, my guitar, and also from the sends coming back from the band. And the Focusrite's also feeding my wireless in-ears. Below is a blanking plate just with an external aerial mounted on it, and then the Sennheiser in-ear system and also a Sennheiser wireless guitar system, and below it is just a drawer for storing cables and wireless packs, etc. in. The laptop's on top, I'll show you that in a moment. Around the back we've got this first plate here which has power, so that's the main power in for everything on the board, and then the second one is just providing an extra couple of sockets for plugging the laptop in or a wireless router or anything else. Blanking plate with 4 inputs, so my microphone is being plugged into here, I'll explain why in a moment, and my stereo mix that's coming back from the sound desk plugged into there. And then below I've got two rack mounted DIs. I've got the loop left and right outputs, click cues, and then I've got keys left and right, which will be coming off my Ableton push when I use that, and my guitar output, and then a spare. So that's what's happening in the rack. At my feet now it's really simple. Rather than a great big flight case, I've simply just got two pedals. One is a soft step controller, so no massive change there, which is controlling everything from Ableton. And then there's no cables plugged in now, so excuse this, but this other switch here is for vocal cues and MDing. So it has 2 inputs. One is the microphone, so from the mic stand up there, that comes straight down and plugs into input number 1. And the second input takes a feed back to the rack mounted kit, which I've just shown you. Then which provides phantom power and also puts a signal back into my unit. And then the 2 outputs on here, one is for my main vocal, which goes to the front of house, and the other one also goes to front of house but is routed back just into our in-ear channels. So effectively it takes one mic and splits it when the button's pushed. So the way that works is if I leave it open, the vocal goes to front of house as normal, but when I press and hold the button with my foot, it switches it off front of house with no clicking, no popping, and gives the vocal straight into just the band's in-ear, so I can give vocal direction or MD if somebody else is leading, or tell them where we're going next. So that's been a really useful addition, which I used quite a lot over the summer at some of the festivals. So much cleaner setup. It means all that's coming now is one XLR cable and one mic cable. Sorry, one XLR cable and one USB cable, because everything else is wireless, both my in-ears and my guitar. Which leads me to the last point. So this rack mount case will usually be off of either off of stage, back of stage or side of stage now. So all the cables are long enough and the wireless range is long enough. So the laptop's now running 3 pieces of software. Number 1 is Ableton, obviously. So all my loops, tracks, keyboard sounds, main stage, lighting cues, vocal direction cues, video cues, everything is in here. If you want to find out more about that, dig deeper into my blog. The second piece of software is Saffire Mix Control. Now I don't know if you can see this, but this is effectively, the top half is my monitor mix. So here is my signal that's coming in from the band, coming in on analog in 4 and 5. My vocal, which is coming back in on door number 19, which I'll show why in a moment. The guitar on input 7. My Ableton push, which is on outputs from the Ableton 4 and 5, or 5 and 6. Clicking cues, loop left, loop right, and then this is my overall mix volume. And then down below is all my routing, so I'm telling the Saffire Mix Control what output is going to which physical output. So we've got door 1 from Ableton, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and then 9 and 10 are basically my mix left and right. So this mix up here is coming out of 9 and 10, which is coming from my Focusrite into the Sennheiser wireless in-ears. So that's quite a whistle stop, hope that makes sense. Door 19 and 20 are what's called loopbacks, and the reason for that is my last piece of software is this one. So this is multi-rack from Waves. It's running some Wave plugins, and my vocal is coming into this multi-rack on analog input 3, which is this one on the back here, mapped to analog input 3 on the Focusrite device. It passes through 3 Waves plugins, the CLA 76, now I'm still tweaking these, so these will probably change, the SSL EQ, and then finally a little bit of studio reverb just to create some ambience in the ears. And then that comes out on, if you can see, on output 19. And output 19 is a loopback within the Saffire Mix Control, so really low latency loopback, and that is what's feeding my vocal channel here. So all that means is that I can actually self-monitor my guitar, my vocal, my Ableton push, which I haven't set up today, my click, my cues, and my loops, set my mix, set my volume, set my compression, my EQ, my amount of reverb, and have that fed into my ears. And then I can still add in a stereo mix from the rest of the band that's being given to me from the monitor engineer or from the sound desk, or whichever way is dependent on the venue here. So really flexible. I can, if I'm doing a solo kind of event, I can have everything that I need. I'm monitoring myself set up before I go. I've got really flexible routing which I can change, and also I'm really tidy on stage because all I've got at my feet is now 2 switches and everything else is wireless.